I think one of the challenges of the world we live in is we've gotten to this place where we have a diagnosis for everything, and we like pathologize life in so many ways. And we work with primarily first responders, military and veteran, where the term PTSD is often used, cited, where people think most, soldiers have this. And often for people, when they get a label like that, it's like, oh no, like I broke it. My life is over, and the rest of it's going to be a fraction of what it used to be. And I think the part I take the most out of is two things. A, how things are is not how they have to be, but you got to do some work to make that conversion possible. And the other thing is, like, it is when it's darkest that maybe I'll just quote. Sorry, I didn't do that on purpose. But with Churchill, it's like when you're going through hell. Churchill said, "When you're going through hell, keep going." Right? Yeah. It's like when you're in the dark, keep going, and because what feels like you're not making progress, in a good way, right? But like that there is light out there. And maybe the last thing is be honest. Like when you're struggling, and I understand the shame and all of it. I've been through all of it. But it's like saying like, holy cow, like I'm scared, I'm not okay, I don't know what's happening, was the beginning of all the stuff changing. And I think being willing to acknowledge that out loud to another human being was very powerful, as shame producing as it was to have to acknowledge that my life was unmanageable and I was overwhelmed. And I think being true and being honest is the other piece.
I think, man, was it shame? Was it ego? Was it pride?
I think it was all of those things. It was all of those things,
okay.
And I think it was all of those things. There was a particular moment when I pulled into this parking garage at this place, and it just hit me. It's like, holy cow, like I'm not okay. And I was scared, like scared. I was scared that it felt like my system had hijacked me. And I remember I called my best friend just reflexively, and he was like, how you doing? I'm like, I'm not good, dude. Like, I'm really, really bad. And then he said, you should probably talk to somebody. And I said, listen here, you MFer. I am. I'm talking to you. I'm like, so shut the hell up and listen to me, because there's nobody else in the world that I would tell this to right now. And and I think it was all of those things, but I needed somebody in my life that none of that really mattered. The only thing that mattered is like it was like me being like, I'm drowning, like I'm like, help me. And I think that was a big step.
Oh, man,
Hell
yeah. Kudos to you, man. Kudos to you and where you've gotten yourself. It's definitely not easy work, and hopefully those that are watching really take how I always say, it looks great. The seat feels great, looks great when someone's looking for it, but they don't understand the story. And this is just one of the many stories of someone that's sitting in a president CEO chair, that nothing was handed. Everything was truly just sacrifice and grit and never giving up. And to this day, still probably just dealing with your own things, right? Life or work related. What does that day to day look like for you, though, as president CEO to this organization?
Day to day, I'd say like it's I have a lot of energy, and I travel a lot, probably 50-60% of the time. People are like, how do you do this? I'm like, I just have a lot of energy. It's probably best to spend it this way. And so I spend a lot of time having conversations with people in the outside world to talk about how we can work together, how we can help their folks, how we can partner with them, and basically the same amount of time supporting, mentoring, and coaching the people who work with us as we've grown as an organization. And so I would say a lot of conversations, a lot of talking that gets done. And then I think the other piece is getting to spend time thinking through a little bit more longer term, which is honestly like more what I would do on the weekends and in the evenings is like, okay, everything's quiet. The emails aren't coming in. Just starting to reflect on like, okay, like here's things that are coming down the track. How do we want to approach this? How do we want to tackle this? Is what I would say. And then just keeping people calm, right? I mean, I think one of the challenges in life is that, human beings are challenging and human beings challenge us, and there's some good in that, there's some challenge in that. And I think just helping people talk through like, okay, what happened? What are we going to do? How do we want to handle it? And I think, there's an aspect of it where you're, as a CEO, you're a leader, you have to have vision, but you're also a coach. And so people can come to you and whether it's personal or professional stuff, and you just work through it and, figure it out and keep moving. And then I think part of the job too is to inspire people, right? Is to go out and talk and help people realize like we're in the business of shifting an entire paradigm. And so you really have to paint this picture to help people realize like there's another way to think about this stuff. There's another way to operate when it comes to life and struggle. And so, getting to have a lot of conversations with people, whether they're struggling, whether they're running an agency or whatever it might be.
I love it, man. How many individuals were you guys able to serve this past year?
Last year was like 43,000 people, which is crazy. When we started in 2013, we wanted to serve 700 people a year. And so it just gives you this sense that there's this contagion for another way to operate and think about life. And so, and I suspect, I tell people, I'm like, we're still just getting started. Like, it's still early days. There's a lot of need in the world. And if you're running a nonprofit that's focused on mental health, then you're in a growth industry. I wish that wasn't true, but it is true. And there's a lot of people that need help. And in the worlds we live in, but also just in the world. Like, you don't have to look very far to look at the stats. It's maybe the richest country in the history of the world, but we sure as hell don't know how to live in the world. And, and that's, and there's just too many people living, less than good lives. And I can't abide that. And so, part of what I have to think about is like, how do you help people outside of our core constituencies without losing focus on what is most important to this organization? And I think that's part of the fun of, like, you have to get creative about how do you solve problems and not just keep growing and growing and growing, because we're not a business. We're not going to sell to somebody. We just have to raise more money, and that's not an easy thing to do. So you want to grow responsibly, and you want to leverage. You want to scale your impact without scaling your organization.